afternoon. I now call to order the organizational meeting for the town of Arundecoit, January 5th, 2017. The time is 4 p.m. Visitors are invited to join the board to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilwoman Barnum.
Here.
Councilwoman Hushler-Ray.
Here.
Councilman Perticone.
Here.
Councilman Weiner.
Here.
Supervisor Seeley.
Here.
And attorney for the town.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Well, good afternoon, and thank you, board members, for availing yourself for this organizational meeting and for attending the emergency meeting we held last week in lieu of the DPW fire. This organizational meeting will handle some of the normal housekeeping resolutions we do at the beginning of a supervisor's term. And for explanation, the purpose of this, reason we're having the organizational meeting is because I was elected to a one-year term in November, and as such, a new term beginning requires an organizational meeting. As such, we will do a number of the housekeeping resolutions you see akin to a town organizational meeting, which generally takes place every 2 years. Councilman Weiner and I were just sworn in by our town clerk for our one-year term, so we have a quorum. Although we would have had a quorum anyway, but since we're doing some bonding resolutions today, we needed 4 members, so we needed to have five in a quorum. So congratulations to Peter for being sworn in for a second time in 2 years. Quite a feat.
Second time in 1 year.
1 year, that's good for you, Peter. So with that, I'll just do a little bit of a general order of business. We'll have three sections to the meeting. The first section will be some of the housekeeping organizational resolutions that we'll pass that are necessary to the continuing function of government. The second phase will be a series of resolutions passed to implement our capital improvement plan for the year 2017 through 2021, excuse me, and that will also involve passing a number of bonding resolutions which will help implement that plan and authorize the board to go to the bond market, and that will be followed by some vehicle purchases, some of which resulting from the DPW fire. So with that, I will ask Madam Clerk to call the first item for board action.
Item number 1, filling a planning board vacancy.
Motion?
Moved.
And a second? Thank you. This fills a planning board vacancy that was created by the resignation of longtime member Rich Plukas, who we thank for his service, and served the planning board for a number of years and really oversaw made a lot of crucial decisions on a number of important projects. But I'm happy to advance to the board for consideration Mr. Spencer Reed to serve a term that would expire December 31st, 2023. Spencer Reed is someone who is very active in the town of Arundecoit, has a architectural background, something Mr. Weiner, I'm sure, appreciates. Most importantly, he's very active in the community, though. He's been very much involved with Stepping Stones Learning Center, serving as their board chair, helping them as they progressed from their facility on St. Paul over to the new facility in the old Chase Picken building. And an instance where somebody came to me asking how could he serve, and I saw this as a fitting role for someone who loves the town and also has a certain degree of a background that's germane to the position. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 2, filling a zoning board of appeals vacancy.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. This would fill a zoning board of appeals vacancy that was created by another retirement from a longstanding member, Bob Hammond. This would elevate Bradley Upson from the position of alternate to a full board member on the zoning board. Mr. Upson was appointed in the second half of last year as an alternate, and is actually a former highway commissioner, someone who has a very good pedigree for the zoning board and has already provided some valuable insight to that board. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 3, authorizing the appointment of a deputy supervisor for the town of Arundecoit.
Motion?
Move.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, I guess we have to take this one up.
Yeah.
But, we saw last year just how important the role of deputy supervisor is as we went through a transition of leadership at supervisor. There was roughly a month period where we did not have a supervisor, and as such, the deputy supervisor filled in that role and really ensured the continuity of government, and that's something we've stressed over the past several days, really, is the need for government to continue to function. That's its primary goal, is to serve the people, and there can be no interruption in that. And John did a terrific job, and I can't state it enough just how grateful the town is for him, how grateful I am and the rest of the board members. And, it's really something we take for granted, but I'm very proud to advance this resolution for the board, and hope it passes unanimously. Any questions or comments?
You're here.
Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And Mr. Perdicone, do you abstain?
Yes, I abstain.
Mr. Perdicone
Thank you,
abstains. You're welcome.
everybody. I appreciate it. I take this very seriously. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for your hard
Thank you,
work,
John.
John.
Resolution is adopted. And Mr. Perdicone, I instruct you after the meeting to take your oath of office with the clerk.
Already scheduled.
Try to get it right in the first take, okay?
Item number 4, bonding town officers, clerks, and employees.
May I have a motion
Moved.
and a second?
Second.
This is a resolution we pass in the public's interest. All public officials are bonded in the matters. So in the rare instance that a public official does something they shouldn't, the public is protected, and as such, the public has recourse. It's something responsible governments do, and we do to ensure that the public trust is upheld. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 5, designating an official town newspaper.
Motion, please.
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
This would designate the Arundecoit Post the official town newspaper of the town of Arundecoit, where we post notices, bond notices, anything requiring public notice. The town newspaper is the official paper of record, so that residents have access through that medium to know what we are doing in town government. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 6, opening competitive bids.
Motion? And a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. This is self-explanatory. It would allow the town clerk or deputy town clerk to open competitive bids of public works and purchase contracts pursuant, of course, to our procurement policy. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 7, requiring checks to be countersigned by the comptroller.
Motion?
Moved.
And a
Second.
second? Thank you. This is my unofficial explanation of this resolution is it's good to have two Sealy signatures on one check, but Comptroller Sealy is authorized to countersign all town checks along with my signature. This is a financial control put in a number of years ago. It helps curb fraud, counterfeit of checks, and is something that is a general accounting practice in municipalities, which the town has implemented over the course of a number of years. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Number 8, approving the 2017 regular town board and workshop meetings.
Motion?
Move.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. This would just approve our regular town board meeting and workshop dates for the 2017 year, and I will note for those tuning in at home and those in the audience, we are going back to Tuesdays for workshop and town board meeting. Tuesdays will be the days that we will conduct those meetings, and I invite you to go to the town's website as this schedule will be posted. And certainly we have at times special board meetings, but always stick to this schedule. So these meetings will always happen unless noted otherwise. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 9, pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act regarding the development of new athletic fields in Camp Eastman.
All right, we move on to Phase 2 of the meeting. Can I have a motion for this resolution?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right, this is the first resolution of kind of a three-phase series to implement our capital improvement plan. First and foremost, we needed to conduct a more thorough environmental review of the Camp Eastman Athletic Field project, which was announced earlier this year through some state funding, and now will be implemented through our capital improvement plan. And I ask our planning and zoning administrator, Carrie Ivers, for a full explanation and description of seeker.
Thank you, Supervisor. The action is a Type 1 action for the purposes of seeker, and so a full environmental assessment form was prepared. Part 1 identifies areas where there may be potential impacts that should be examined as part of the evaluation of the project. And so as we go through that first part and explore the potential impacts in parts 2 and part 3 of the seeker form, we focused on several key areas of concern and explored those areas to determine whether or not there may be large adverse impacts. The first would be the impact on land. Camp Eastman, the current site, has a fairly large berm located, and part of the project would entail removing that berm or relocating the soil in that berm to regrade and create athletic fields. And so the part of the effort of doing the environmental investigation included geotechnical and soil screenings that Labella conducted as our town engineer, and we've in reviewing those and the findings, it was determined that there were no large adverse impacts associated with the soil conditions or the regrading. And the Part 3 narrative, which you received in draft form last week, details the analysis and provided the reports from Labella, 2 separate detailed memos describing the environmental screening of the soil conditions and the identification that there are no large adverse impacts associated with the movement of that soil. The second would be the impact on surface water, because the project is going to disturb more than an acre of land, it's going to require compliance with the New York State DEC's pollution discharge elimination system general permit, and we have to prepare what's called a stormwater pollution prevention plan, a SWIP, as it's often referred to. And the SWIP is going to ensure that any and all grading and stormwater management is in compliance with New York State regulations. And so because of that, we can say pretty confidently that there will be no large adverse impacts to or impacts to the surface water for this as a result of this project. Additionally, we look at flooding, potential impacts to flooding. Anytime you're having significant regrading on a site, that's an important factor. It's important to note that this area is designated by FEMA as a Zone X, which is assigned to areas of minimal flood risk, and so there's nothing happening on this site. Again, with the effective stormwater management that's being proposed, there's no risk to flooding that this project might cause. There are no impacts to critical environmental areas. This property is, as you may all be aware, is located in what is technically the city of Rochester, and it's a town park in the city's municipal boundary. And the CEA, or the critical environmental area, is a designation by the city, and there will be no impacts to that as a result of this project. This is a town park that's going to be enhancing its park facilities. In looking at impact to traffic, the Monroe County DOT is the owner of the roadway, Lakeshore Boulevard, that the park accesses. And in reviewing this project with DOT, they had no concerns about the planned improvements. So that's really the most important aspect of that. of the impact to traffic. So typically DOT, Monroe County DOT would if there were significant concerns, would require a detailed traffic impact analysis, and that was not needed for a project of this nature. The other area that was explored would be the impact to noise, and not so much with the biggest factor might be the removal of the berm and determining what, if any, impact that would have on the conveyance of noise from adjacent areas, specifically Van Laer Water Treatment Plant. As part of looking at the impacts to this project, a noise study was conducted, and the short answer is there will be no large adverse impacts associated with the removal of the berm and or the use of the park for the athletic fields. And after reviewing all of that information and determining that there will be no large adverse impacts, we're recommending a negative declaration. And I apologize, that was a lot of words. That was a very, maybe, I'm not sure if that was as much, more detail than you were looking for.
No,
I
it's
apologize.
Completely adequate, Carrie, thank you. Any questions or comments? I'll just say this, you know, my prior life, I worked in a position more where you were helping to secure money for local governments, and you thought that once the money was secured, in this case it was our state legislators being very generous in giving us a combined $500,000 for this project, you always thought once the money was secured that was the end of it. But in this project we learned, and they weren't barriers, they were just you know, things that we had to make sure we were accounting for and doing due diligence on in order to execute this project. And it ended up being a number of things, whether it was the fact that this happens to be our largest town park that just happens to sit in the city of Rochester, which is a little extraordinary, but that was a challenge we worked through, and we worked, and I thank the city for their cooperation with this, and our staff was very diligent in informing them and making sure they were comfortable with what we were doing, and we're in a good place with the city now, and we really thank them for their cooperation and recognition of the significance of this project. And in the environmental challenges, this is a unique, it's not a mountain that the glaciers carved. This is a berm that was created by man, so we had to make sure that when we are doing a considerable construction project over there, we're considering all environmental factors, and we've done that, and we've probably gone beyond what we need to do, and we wanted to make sure we were being responsible in that regard. So to the extent Bob and Carrie did a very good job in that, I thank them. So I'll just say this, I think this is good, and the fact we were able to clear a lot of these hurdles, and I don't want to say a relatively short period of time, but the fact that staff worked so hard over these past few months is going to allow this project to hopefully, pending bonding, but hopefully begin in 2017. And we said we hoped that this fields would be up and running mid-2018, and I think we're on schedule for that too. So because of that, I thank the staff, but I'm glad that we're able to be at this place we are right now, and I think the ultimate winners are the kids of Irondequoit, who are going to have these terrific soccer and lacrosse fields to play on for a number of years. So when we announced, we had that press conference back in July or August, whenever it was, it was only the start of a lengthy process, and here we are, and the process isn't over, but we've certainly cleared a large barrier, and now I think are going downhill, hopefully. So thank you, Carrie and Bob, for your work. Any other questions or comments?
I'd just like to say, staff did a great job. My prior position was a planning board chairman, and this is a complete document as I've ever seen from any applicant in the past, and really kudos to everyone involved.
No, we got to lead by example, right? When we're the applicant, we need
Right.
to lead by example.
The public, this is what Carrie surmised with, she said a lot of words, but it's, half a ream of paper.
Yeah. Okay, and I'll note, this is the only Type 1 Type 1 seeker project included in their capital improvement plan, correct? So as such, this will be the only thorough seeker review that we will take up a singular resolution for. This will be the only project for which we take up a singular seeker resolution for. Seeker will be for the balance of the projects in our capital improvement plan will be in the subsequent resolution enacting our CIP. Anything to
May
add to
I
that?
clarify that I think that the CIP includes one unlisted item?
Thank
Or
you.
no? No, it does not? Laura's shaking my head. I apologize. Forget what I just said. Apologies.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 10, authorizing the capital improvement program for the town of Arundecoit for 2017 through 2022.
Motion
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Thanks, Peter. This would implement the 2017 through 2022 capital improvement plan. It would execute a number of projects, both in town-owned assets as well as our roads and infrastructure, and I think provides a good foundation for maintaining that infrastructure, but also enhancing our quality of life for years to come. To give a more thorough explanation of the resolution and the variables within, I call on our Highway Commissioner, Bob Kiley, for an explanation.
Thank you, Supervisor Sealy. The resolution before you would pass the capital improvement project, the capital improvement program, for the town of Arundecoit from 2017 through 2022. Within the fiscal year of 2017, we have a very aggressive plan to implement quite a many improvements throughout the town. I can just quickly do a run-through of the projects that we are moving forward with in 2017.
That'd be good, thank you.
In 2017, we have some heating, ventilation, air conditioning upgrades here at Town Hall, specifically for a new boiler for the Town Hall and green renewable and energy improvements throughout the town, general upgrades to our heating, our HVAC system here at Town Hall. And similar, in the public safety building across the street, we have planned a new and improved cooling tower for the public safety building known as the police department across the parking lot from us. In addition, we also have funds allocated and earmarked for improvements to the HVAC system and the possible implementation of green and renewable energy upgrades for that facility as well. In that past resolution that we just acted on, the town board just acted on with regard to Seeger at Camp Eastman, this capital improvement program for 2017 would include funds to move forward, matching funds from the town, to move forward with the implementation of the construction of the 4 soccer fields at Camp Eastman, 1301 Lakeshore Boulevard. We also have earmarked funds for upgrades to town parks and playgrounds. In addition, we have earmarked nearly $400,000 for funds to be used for resurfacing of streets, be it any real improvements within the right-of-ways on town roads. We also have, so those funds, I guess those subject matter would be bonded, and as such, this resolution has, and the resolutions that are going to come will effectively bond, and I would turn it over to Comptroller Sealy for those explanations. But for this document and this CIP document, those projects that I've already mentioned have and will be bonded for. The remaining 2 projects being improvements to the sanitary sewer laterals and improvements to the storm laterals and mains throughout the town would be funded through reserve funds that the town have. Those funds within those sanitary sewer and storm sewer fund balances would actually fund these improvement projects that we have planned. So with all of those projects, as part of the seeker, we also review and analyze the State Environmental Quality Review Act when it comes to these types of projects. All of these projects within the fiscal year of 2017 and the out years of 2018, 19, 20, 21, and 22 are all Type 2 actions for seeker. And believe that completes my assessment for
Bob,
this.
just in the out years, those projects aren't locked in stone, correct?
No, they're not locked in stone, but we certainly, year to year, assess where we at with all of our public infrastructure projects and recalibrate if need be. But it's always good to have a plan in place to know where we're going to be heading. So while they change and can change year to year, we certainly like to put to the pen and post for the general public to know that this is what our intentions are in years to come.
Okay. Thank you, and board members were given a draft CIP in our December workshop, I believe, and have reviewed it, and I think we've consensus on the 2017 projects, and moving forward, these are the types of investments we'd like to see the town making and making more of. So I'm glad that our CIP is a little bit more expansive this year than in past years, and allows us to make more critical investments and some more progressive investments to our recreation facilities and our town assets. So to that degree, I think Bob and Annie certainly, and Rick Checky and Diana Marsh from our comptroller's office for their hard work in putting this together. Anyone have any questions for Bob or any of the commissioners? Annie, anything to add?
There
Good.
are
Okay.
three sources of funding, and you stated it is $1,280,000 in total. That will, the bonds represent $1,280,000. The 8 bonds that you will vote on, and there are, as Bob mentioned, there are 2 projects that will be funded by fund balance. Sewer fund balance $500,000, and storm drainage fund balance $250,000. And there's the one project. The athletic fields is a $1,100,000 project, $500,000 from grant funding, and the $600,000 is one of the bonds that you'll be voting on.
Thank you, Annie. And we'll take up those bond resolutions individually after this resolution. Any other questions or comments?
Supervisor Sealy, I have one more thing to
Yes,
add. Pardon my interruption, but all of these, as that total that Comptroller Sealy just laid out, all of those funds were figured into the 2017 fiscal budget. So when we built our budget collectively as a town, we had this intention to go out to bond this money, and so this isn't an increase in any way. This is actually a planned CIP project, and all of these, the associated fees and payments for the bonds are factored into the 2017 budget.
Thanks, Bob. Anything else? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 11, authorizing the town to undertake improvements at the town hall, stating the maximum estimated cost thereof is $50,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of up to $50,000 in serial bonds of the town to finance said appropriation.
A motion. And a second.
Second?
I'll speak on the next 8, give a 30,000-foot overview of the next 8 resolutions now, and then give a just individual explanation as we hit up each one. And I apologize, Barb, because these titles are very long, so I thank you for reading them clearly. But we just adopted the CIP, and that contemplates a number of projects that we propose to undertake over a period of years. And as Bob and Annie said, they're funded through a variety of sources, including general funds, reserves, state grants, and because of our next 8 resolutions, monies that are borrowed by the town. Regarding those projects that are identified in the CIP to be undertaken in 2017, several of them are going to require, as Bob and Annie said, us to borrow at least a portion of their cost. Not all in all cases, because, for instance, with Camp Eastman, it's a variety. It's state grants, and it's also money that we will borrow. The financing, or as they're called, bond resolutions presented to the board for your consideration, these next 8 resolutions, would authorize with respect to each of these projects the borrowing of monies necessary to pay in whole or in part the costs of those projects. Each resolution identifies the project, recites the anticipated total project cost, and sets forth the plan for paying for those costs. The maximum term of borrowing, for instance, the number of years that the town would have to repay the borrowing, is established in New York State local finance law. In addition, local finance law requires that any resolution that would authorize borrowing that would extend beyond a period of 5 years must, with certain exceptions, be subject to permissive referendum when it becomes effective. And I note that all but one of these resolutions is subject to permissive referendum. And it doesn't mean that we have to borrow all of the money. It authorizes us to do so. So it doesn't necessarily mean this will be all the money we borrow, but in likelihood it will be very close. But this is simply 8 resolutions that authorize us to do so and go through really a process. It will take upwards of a handful of months before we are able to actually go to the market, because we have to. This is subject to permissive referendum, and there's a window of time where residents are allowed to appeal gather enough petition signatures to do so, and it's also subject to an estoppel notice or estoppel period whereby residents can question the validity of the purpose of the borrowing. So I hope that helps clarify that. This first resolution would allow the town to make improvements to the heating and installation of a boiler and other heating system upgrades at Town Hall, and something that's long overdue, something we wanted to do this year but didn't have available funds. But as this building continues to age, we need to maintain it and ensure that it's able to, provide a workplace for the 60, 70 people that come to work here every day, but also that the hundreds of residents that come here every day, it's a modern and, at the very least, warm place. So any questions or comments on the first resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 12, authorizing the town to undertake improvements at the town hall, stating the maximum estimated cost thereof is $35,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of up to $35,000 in serial bonds of the town to finance said appropriation.
Motion?
Moved.
A second?
Second.
This would authorize the town to borrow money to execute some critical maintenance to the building here at Town Hall, our heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems, as well as improvements to the building's lighting systems, including all ancillary and related improvements. Costs and expenses at a maximum cost of $35,000. Mr. Kiley, I see you fidgeting back there. Anything to add?
These types of projects would be more improvements as opposed to maintenance.
Thank you
just
very
for
much for that
clarification.
clarification. I appreciate that. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 13, authorizing the town to undertake improvements at the public safety building, stating the maximum estimated cost thereof is $50,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of up to $50,000 in serial bonds of the town to finance said appropriation.
Motion, please.
Moved.
A second.
Second.
Thank you. This would allow the town to finance improvements at the public safety building, consisting of upgrades and improvements to the building's cooling tower. Any questions? Actually, Bob, any clarification there?
No.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
Just one question. Bob, all these numbers, this one for, the third, where did these numbers come from? Did you do a cost for them?
Yes, absolutely.
Set a
we
budget on each one of them? Okay.
That's absolutely correct. So
Okay.
for the prior boiler, we've been in touch with the vendors that are typically on the county contract, Monroe Piping, gotten a couple quotes, and from that agency and a couple others, and then put together a figure in
Okay.
the amount of $50,000 for that bond. The same thing holds true for the cooling tower. Again, that's roughly about a $40,000 project. So, yeah, that's exactly how we put these numbers together, using some of our vendors and getting some quotes, understanding that, when it failed or when we wanted to plan for improvements, funds weren't necessary, so we bring them up during this capital improvement
Okay.
program project.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 14, authorizing the town to undertake improvements at the public safety building, stating the maximum estimated cost thereof is $35,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of up to $35,000 in serial bonds of the town to finance said appropriation.
Thank you, Barb. Motion, please?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, this would allow the town to finance improvements, authorize the town to finance improvements at the public safety building consisting of upgrades and improvements to the building's heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems, and upgrades and improvements to the building's lighting systems. Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 15, authorizing the town to undertake certain embellishments to parks, playgrounds, and recreational areas, stating the maximum estimated cost thereof is $60,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of up to $60,000 in serial bonds of the town to finance said appropriation.
Motion? And a second?
Second.
Bob, anything to add to this?
These are general funds that we appropriate for various upgrades to playgrounds throughout the town. We've earmarked and identified a couple playgrounds that we'd like to either totally renovate or either holistically or piecemeal, and so this capital improvement project would be used, and the funds would be used to really increase the reach that we have within our parks and playgrounds and upgrade a lot of those facilities.
Very good. And I'll also note one likely inclusion for this project in our CIP would be the Joshua Park playground, which was part of our neighborhood enhancement program from 2016. Ideally, these funds would be used to help implement some of the recommendations we got for enhancements to that park, as well as other parks and playgrounds throughout the town. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 16, authorizing the town to undertake certain embellishments to parks, playgrounds, and recreational areas, stating the maximum estimated cost thereof is $600,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of up to $600,000 in serial bonds of the town to finance said appropriation.
Motion, please.
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. This particular resolution involves the Camp Eastman project, which Carrie provided the seeker type 1 explanation prior to, in a prior resolution. This is the largest capital improvement project in the 2017 portfolio. It's been spoken about enough. My hope is that, this bond cap is $600,000, but we won't be required all of that, but certainly we want to make sure we have enough given any contingencies that might come up. But certainly we will look to put downward pressure on that total project cost. Any other questions or comments? I'll just add I'm very, very happy to vote yes for this resolution. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 17, authorizing the reconstruction and repaving of roads throughout the town, stating the maximum estimated cost thereof is $400,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of up to $400,000 in serial bonds of the town to finance said appropriation.
And Ms. Barnum moved the motion in a second.
Second.
Thank you, John. This would authorize borrowing upwards of $400,000 to help the town make to help the town make improvements to its critical infrastructure, including roads, sidewalks. Mr. Kiley, anything to add to that?
This really allows the Department of Public Works to really get to work out in the field. This essentially doubles our paving budget for the 2017 fiscal year. So in addition to some of the funds we receive, either hard budgeted funds or funds we receive through the CHIPS program, the Capital Highway Improvement Program dollars from the state of New York, or the Pave New York dollars that we also receive, that total budget is roughly about $400,000. So this CIP project in the amount of $400,000 essentially doubles our paving budget, which allows our department to get out and reach more people, touch and really get a lot more work done on a lot of these roadways, which are in critical need.
Would this also be eligible for sidewalk improvements as well?
At this time, we haven't planned that these dollars would be used for sidewalks, but certainly we understand the need there, and if it becomes available, absolutely.
And they are included in the, I guess, we're authorized to use them for sidewalks. That's what I was
Absolutely,
looking.
yep.
Nothing planned, because I think we have some other funds for sidewalk enhancements, but I know we get just as many calls from residents about our sidewalks as we do our roads, so I'm glad we're doing this, and I think this is one, if we continue to make these, enhance our CIP over years, our paving budget is certainly one that we simply must continue to invest in, and Mr. Kiley's smiling to that regard.
It's very exciting. It really is very
Keeps us
exciting
busy,
for us.
but it's what our residents want, and I think it's money well spent.
Well, I agree also, because I haven't seen paving in the CIP in quite a while. If I've seen it at all, I don't believe so. You probably won't have a problem spending this, Bob. is that the same?
In light of the loss we've sustained out in the
Yeah.
highway garage with some of our trucks, we still anticipate being able to move through
Oh, I know.
these
There's always-
funds this year.
there's
There's
always
many
paving to
roads,
do,
many
sure.
roads that need to be resurfaced, so we're certainly going to be out in full force this year.
Okay, very good.
It's actually one of the things that I hear most in my short time on the board is, what are we doing with paving? So I'm glad to hear this. And this also relates to the inventory that was done in
That is correct.
assessment of all the roads that we made
So
earlier?
earlier this year, we did an RFP, a request for proposal, to assess all of our roadways throughout the town. So to know where we're going, we need to know where we are. And so with that assessment, an outside consulting firm came in, did an inventory of every town road. They drove every road, graded it off of the New York State DOT gradation sheets. And so now our department, the Department of Public Works, is able to prioritize what roads are the mid-range roads where we can allocate dollars in preventative maintenance, the oil and stone that really nobody likes, but we can allocate dollars in preventative maintenance to keep roads that are, 6s and 7s on the scale of the 10, to keep them 9s, and then move towards those roads that are just falling apart, those 2s and 3s, and we have them out in our community. And so we can prioritize those preventative maintenance to keep our good roads good, and then make those worst roads to first. So it's a dual attack program that we're going to try to implement and get on a rigid schedule. But to Councilman Weiner, your point, that was a really good assessment we have had done, and now knowing that, one, we have the funds to allocate to be able to get out there and maintain these surfaces. It's kudos to the town board for really allowing our department to move in this fashion. Thank you.
Well, I just about jumped out of my seat to make the motion on that one ahead of time. I really appreciate that you have asked for this funding, because it is, as Peter Weiner said, something that's really asked for. It's a safety issue, and it's the appearance of our town as well. So thank you. People will be really happy for your work.
Absolutely.
And I'll just take this point to note it at this time. And I should have said this from the onset. This is the first year in several years that the town has gone to the bond market for a number of reasons. I think the recession being one of them, but a whole host of reasons, decisions made by previous boards, and I think some of which were prudent to do so. But by the same token, it's healthy to make these investments, and you can go to, I think, make capital improvements, and these are the types of things you should finance, really. And I'll also note, there's a lot of talk about debt service and interest on debt. Our debt service is year to year, if you forecast it, is gradually going down significantly. This will not increase our debt service. We've already actually budgeted for the interest incurred by this debt for 2017, so this will not increase our 2017 budget because we already assumed the interest paid. But if you really look at forecasting in the out years, we're in a very healthy situation with our debt. We've managed it well, and it's allowed us to now, I think, continue, or I should say, reinstate these types of capital improvements. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 18, authorizing the town to undertake improvements at the town hall, stating the maximum estimated cost thereof is $50,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of up to $50,000 in serial bonds of the town to finance said appropriation.
Motion
Moved.
and a second?
Second.
I'll just note that this is the one resolution that is not subject to permissive referendum. Just wanted to note that. The previous 7 were. Just full disclosure. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. And that, I'll call on Madam Clerk for 1 second privilege. That concludes the second stanza of our board meeting. Actually, we have a 4th stanza that was added as an addendum, but that concludes our CIP implementation and subsequent bond resolutions, and we will now move on to some vehicle purchases at the request of Mr. Kiley. Madam Clerk, please read item number 19.
Item number 19, authorizing the purchase of 1 medium-duty dump truck with plow by the Bureau of Public Works.
Motion? And a second?
Second.
Mr. Kiley, an explanation? And you can, if you want, Bob, you can explain the next 4 at once, and then we'll just work through them.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. As the board may be aware, during the planning stages of the 2017 budget, the Department of Public Works had identified several different trucks that were in need of replacement. Those trucks, 3 dump trucks and 1 Vector truck, were budgeted through the 2017 budget process, as it really is a timing issue why this resolution is before the board at the organizational meeting as opposed to the standard town board meeting, due to the fact that many other towns at this same time of year are all passing resolutions to purchase dump trucks, and of course the biggest issue with that purchase is to try to get these dump trucks prior to the summertime when we can utilize them for paving services. So the resolution before you is for a medium-duty dump truck, which was discussed through the 2017 budget process. The next resolution, organizational resolution number 20, is for the purchase of a 10-wheel heavy-duty dump truck. Number 21 is a 6-wheel heavy-duty dump truck. And number 22 is a combination sewer cleaning truck, the large vac trucks that you see going about town. So these are all trucks that were identified really through the last several years that were in critical need of replacement. And so a lot of the dump trucks will be able to, we've been working with the manufacturers to purchase these trucks to make them haul more asphalt so we can get more asphalt out to the paver sooner, faster, better, more efficiently. But just to note that all of these, the 3 dump trucks are being purchased through the Onondaga County contract through Regional International Corp. So this was put out to bid through the Onondaga County contract, and as such, the lowest responsible bidder was Regional International Corp. For this resolution, the 1 medium-duty dump truck. The other 2 dump trucks are also lowest bidders through Regional International Corp. And finally, the combination sewer truck was a lowest responsible bidder of Tracy Road Equipment in Henrietta. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. And I'll just note, again, Bob said this, but this is not new money. This is money that was budgeted in our 2017 budget. We are just getting to move on quick and ensuring.
They'll be financed.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. The financing for these vehicles were approved via the 2017 budget. So thank you, Annie, for that. And this first resolution, resolution number 19, as Bob said, is for a medium-duty cab chassis truck and is at a cost of $155,774. Any questions or comments for Bob? Okay, thank you for explaining that all, Bob, at once to prevent any redundancies for both of our sakes, I suppose.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 20, authorizing the purchase of one heavy-duty 10-wheel dump truck with plow by the Bureau of Public Works.
Motion?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. This would authorize us to finance the aforementioned truck at the cost of $255,000, a new 2018 model year International 7600 heavy-duty 10-wheel cab chassis truck with dump body and snow plowing equipment from Regional International Corporation. And that will be the last time I start reading a sentence without realizing where it ends. So, any questions or comments? Hearing none. And Annie, just to confirm, this was
All four.
all four were financed, approved finance, so we were financing this vehicle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 21, authorizing the purchase of one heavy-duty 6-wheel dump truck with plow by the Bureau of Public Works.
Motion? Moved. Second?
Second.
Thanks, Peter. And the lowest responsible bid is for $244,300.30. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 22, authorizing the purchase of one combination sewer cleaning truck by the Bureau of Public Works.
Motion?
Second.
And a second. Thank you. The lowest responsible bid was for $371,174. Any questions or comments?
I will make note that, to the town board, that this, the vehicle that this resolution replaces was lost in the fire on Christmas
Thank you.
Eve. But this was scheduled to be purchased for, within the budget for 2017.
Glad we're doing it now, then. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 23, authorizing the purchase of a truck-mounted jetter flush truck by the Bureau of Public Works.
Motion? Moved. And a second?
Second.
Mr. Crowley, explanation?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. As the board is well aware, and I think as folks in the general public are aware, that the town Department of Public Works had a catastrophic fire on Christmas Eve, which the result of which damaged and destroyed many of our vehicles that were parked within the garage. Of that, almost 100% of our sewer department vehicles were destroyed. In an attempt, and really this resolution before the board is one that what we seek to purchase a truck-mounted flush jetter truck, a 2017 year model, from, this would be Syncon through the Onondaga County contract in the amount of $194,358. This truck is available for purchase. This would be used, the funds would be used related to the fire, and we would be able to receive this truck as early as next week. So currently, right now, our department is in a little bit of a hard place when it comes to maintaining our sewer infrastructure as a result of the fire. We currently have no vac trucks and no truck-mounted jetter trucks. In the interim, we are relying on our partners in government, primarily the town of Webster and town of Greece, for assistance if we get a backup of a main, and more clearly, when one of our main sewers backs up, and then we have, as a result, water is not draining appropriately, which could back up into people's homes. So at this time, we are relying on our partners in government, and this resolution before the town board this evening would allow the Department of Public Works to purchase this truck-mounted jetter flush truck to be able to adequately maintain our sewer infrastructure. And luckily enough, there was one available throughout the eastern United States, and it's upon this resolution, we'll hopefully make some phone calls to have them start driving the vehicle up and potentially have it tomorrow.
Very good. I'm sure the crew in our sanitation department is very grateful for that. And this is
So
one-
Bob, just being able to get it that quick is an unusual situation, you would say? I mean,
It really is.
Okay.
We were in contact with some of our vendors for the previous resolution with the actual large vac truck. And after the fire occurred, we were alerted to the situation that there was
Okay.
one available, and so we were, of course, immediately started to have the conversations and put this resolution to the town board tonight. So, yeah, it is unusual, but, that is certainly going to be a really good opportunity for us to continue to maintain our infrastructure.
How about the other vehicles as far as delivery? Are they have to be built, or are they ready to, some of them do?
Yeah, the
Okay.
prior 4 resolutions for the 3 dump trucks and the vac truck, those do have build times associated with them. While we could certainly press some of our vendors to see if we could jump in line in front of another town because of our unique situation with the loss of so many vehicles, I'm certainly working with some of our vendors on that. But those, as of right now, those
they fix
4
it.
vehicles have build times, and those build times could
Yeah.
be 4 to 6 months.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 24, authorizing the award of bid for the Arundecoit Senior Center vestibule addition and renovations and the required general fund balance transfer necessary for this expenditure.
Motion
Moved.
and a second.
Second?
Mr. Kiley, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So the town of Arundecoit put out to bid renovations at the senior center twice last year, actually, renovations within the veterans room, specifically at the senior center. Both times we were met with bids that were a little bit larger than the scope and the funds allowed. So within the community development block grant, we allocated and identified another project and combined that project with our veterans room renovations, and that became this project to install and construct a new vestibule at the Pine Grove Senior Center. This would be at the east door of the Pine Grove Senior Center, which would create a more welcoming entrance to the senior center itself, have seniors enter into an area where staff currently sit and provide assistance to seniors. In addition, we also put this other project, this Veterans Room renovation project, which is the Veterans Room, as I think most of the town board has been there. The Veterans Room is the main room at the senior center where programs either happen or seniors play cards or have other activities. So this project was put out to bid for both the vestibule, renovations to the senior center, Veterans Room, and renovations to a staff lobby area. The lowest responsible bidder was Javen Construction, and that lowest responsible bid was in the amount of $298,000. And so this resolution would allow allow the town supervisor to enter into a contract with Javen and execute any all documents, but would moreover accept the bid from Javen and allow the necessary budget transfers to cover this expense.
Thanks, Bob. I'll just note the budget transfer is additional money from fund balance that I call anticipated surplus money from 2016 because we haven't closed our books yet, so I say anticipated, and my comptroller's smiling at me. Nonetheless, we got to get this done. We wanted to make these enhancements, and to me, it's money well spent, and I think the improvements we make over there will be turn Pine Grove into a more welcoming place, a more modern place. And I will note that during the period where we're doing construction, we are going to have some transition where we'll, a temporary transition where we'll move our seniors to Camp Eastman for lunch and other activities. And we've already worked to make sure that's seamless and inform them so that there's no shock when they show up and it's closed. And Bob, when do we anticipate we'll be able to commence construction?
Construction, right now with the resolution to accept the bid, we have tentatively scheduled a pre-construction meeting for Monday afternoon next week, so we could start to see some demo work and swinging some hammers as early as the end of next week.
Okay, and I'll note I'm having lunch at the Veterans Room tomorrow. If anyone wants to join me and play some bingo, you are more than welcome. I look at you, Mr. Wayner. But any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
I do love bingo.
25, to reappoint a zoning board of appeals chairman.
Motion
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Thank you. This would reappoint the chair of our zoning board of appeals, Mr. James Hinman, to a 2-year term as chairperson. And he served many years as our chair of the zoning board, a very important board, as I described earlier. And I'll just, and secondary to that, just wish Mr. Hinman safe, healthy recovery as he endures some health issues, but is continuing to do the work of the board during some health challenges. But we wish him well and hope he's tuning in. I'm sure he is. But any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. And this concludes our body of work for our organizational meeting, January 5th, 2017. Our next workshop meeting will be Tuesday. I'm going to have to make the clerk put Tuesday on there. So Tuesday, January 10th, 2017 at 4 p.m. in the Broderick Meeting Room here at Town Hall. Our next regular town board meeting will be Tuesday, January 17th, 2017, 7 p.m. here in the Broderick Meeting Room at Town Hall. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned.
We hope you enjoyed this presentation of the Arundecoit Town Board on ICAT 12, Arundecoit's government access channel.